am I doing these things? Am I not doing these things? I don't know. Like, where are we at? Like, what are signs to look for to say, like, hey, here are things that you might be able to see that would show that there's an opportunity for improvement or bringing more joy into, all the different things that you've articulated.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just use the framework that I shared. Do you have a plan to engage first, second, third time folks?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of data on this. I mean, you get them there 3 times, they're very, very likely to end up calling you their church home. But you can miss, and we miss a lot in terms of getting people's information and reaching back out to say, hey, we saw you. We loved having you here, right? So if you don't have a get and retain strategy, that could be, if you've not looked at your website for quite a while, going back to on the attract side, and you haven't looked at your brand, the way you present, and done the work in the community to kind of say, hey, what do you think about Trinity, Waconia, Christ Greenfield? You can get feedback from people in the community. Maybe that's a starting point for you. If your pastor feels like overwhelmed because he's expected to do like absolutely everything, and you don't have clarity around your discipleship strategy, and you're bringing people to kind of lift him up in his roles and to get super, super rigorous, I think that's a good word, to help him identify what is your sweet spot. You're never going to be able to do entirely your sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
But if 80% of your job, this is something called the performance enjoyment theory. If 80% of your work is in your sweet spot, right? It doesn't feel like a job. It feels like a calling. You were made for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's 80%, and then we're going to figure out all the other things that need to get done. Could a church say, Pastor, because pastoral burnout's a real thing, Bryan. Mm-hmm. It feels like maybe at the board meeting, I'm just, giving an example. It feels like you were short, disconnected, overwhelmed. You didn't want to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other elders that are going to come alongside that man and help him on the journey to discover how God? And you don't know that right away. You need to kind of test different things, especially if you're a young leader. So are our churches like incubators for allowing pastors to figure out? I'll use you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Your congregation knows Bryan has a teaching gift. Bryan's really great bringing a lot of different types of people to the table. Let's invest time and energy into helping Bryan's vision of bringing the church together, not just our church, but the wider church together through On the Line, right? That feeds you. As we're even doing this today, does this feel like work to you?
Oh, definitely not. And
definitely not.
And shout out to Trinity, because they've done. I've been here 3 years, but I do feel like the job that I do is certainly at least 80% is right in my wheelhouse of what I enjoy.
And I feel the exact same. And so I just want more pastors to have that experience. And then have you, on the other end, have you articulated a vision that necessitates you raise people up from within?
Mm-hmm.
Or is your vision, we just want to survive.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to make it. Like, we don't even have time for this. So we end up doing we'll do a 1 hour free consult. We have a questionnaire that kind of gets to the heart of answering where's the biggest pain point along this church engagement model continuum.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can give coaching, one-on-one consultation with them, or we invite them into an accelerator, like I was talking about before. And we realize the accelerator, there needs to be a certain level of congregational health trust on a team.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, we had a couple churches that came, and it was like, we're talking about things that they're just not ready to talk about yet, because they have some things internal that they have to work on. But yeah, if you don't have a clear strategy for discipleship and leadership development in your church, then we'd love to. And that's kind of the niche that we're kind of filling, I think, right now in the church, is just highlighting the need for raising up more local leaders to go back to it. And that's why I get so passionate about the pastoral formation, because what do we do when churches like ours have this upward draft of leaders that are being raised up locally?